So what are the clinical features of hypoglycemia? So we have abnormal crying, irritability, apnea, cyanotic spells, jitteriness, tremors, feeding difficulty, lethargy or stupor. So all these are neuroglycopenic symptoms where you have the brain having low sugar and they start getting into these factors. Seizures come into the same category. Then you have factors related to the sympathetic overactivity as a compensation. So we may have tachypnea, hypothermia, sweating. Hypotonia limpness comes from the neuroglycopenia symptoms, and tachycardia may be happening as well. So these are the two categories of symptoms. We get sympathetic overactivity related symptoms and the neuroglycopenia symptoms. So you can see clearly that there is an impact on the brain even from the symptom profile. So you have to be very careful that you have to aggressively monitor and treat hypoglycemia so it doesn't reach the stage of seizures or lethargy and so on. So when we talk about monitoring, we also look at the method of checking blood glucose. So we have bedside testing. We also have the continuous interstitial testing, as we will discuss next. This is not proven to be very effective in babies. Blood glucose is lower, 15% lower value than the plasma glucose for obvious reasons, because the blood has RBC volume as well in it. Two factors. One is the volume of the RBCs, and the second part is RBCs are metabolically active and they metabolize the glucose by glycolysis. So this is for the same reason that if you're taking a blood sample, you should take it in an appropriate container, and you should store it on ice if you're taking it to the lab or if there is a delay. Because if you're not storing it properly, or if you're not taking it to the lab appropriately, it may drop rapidly by 6 milligrams per hour by the RBC glycolysis. The position, the area where you sample is also important. A venous sample is 10% lower because the tissue has taken up some of the glucose. A capillary sample may be in between because you have the hematocrit that is increasing and the arterial levels are higher. So depending on where you sample as well, it's important. The bedside tests are testing the blood glucose, and the lab testing is testing the plasma glucose. So obviously the lab test will be a little higher. So the most frequently used lab method is glucose oxidase or a glucose oxidase immobilized electrode. And here it is a plasma or serum glucose concentrations. Results are quite accurate if you transport the sample properly. The blood gas analyzer also measures glucose using a glucose oxidase electrode. So here also the reading is reliable. The rapid point of care assessment of the whole blood glucose concentrations. Previously, it was different methods, but now most of them use the glucose oxidase or peroxidase chromogen strip. And some of them have reflectance calorimeter to improve the accuracy at the lower readings as well. One of the fallacies of these glucometers is that they are designed for monitoring adults with diabetes most of the time, and they are not targeting the babies. There are companies who are coming out with the improved predictability in the normal range for babies, but when you come to the hypoglycemic range, invariably these monitors struggle. The way you take the sample is important. You should allow the alcohol to dry fully so there is no contamination. You shouldn't have any other chemical contamination there, and the storage and the calibration should be done properly for the meter as well. So you shouldn't rely solely on these devices, and if you get a low reading of less than 40 to 45 milligrams, the recommendation is to use a standard laboratory method. You don't delay the treatment, but you send a sample to confirm, especially if you're going on a repeatedly low reading stage and you're going to escalate up the treatment. Continuous glucose monitoring using a subcutaneously placed sensor has been validated in adults and children with diabetes. So the Freestyle Libre and other tools are available. They are very useful for the diabetic children. However, the point of care devices are not reliable, and similar to that, these are interstitial glucose measurements. So the readings are different. You have to correct for the readings, and also the fluctuations are much more. You cannot diagnose the glucose levels less than 45 milligrams with confidence. We had tested this on a couple of babies, and the findings were not very encouraging. You can predict a trend, but you cannot really diagnose hypoglycemia with it, and we tend to overdo the blood sugars if you are using this, because you have a higher chance of thinking of hypoglycemia even when the baby is otherwise well. So we do have research studies, and Kathy Bietzal and colleagues in Cambridge were doing the study when I was there as well, but the results were not conclusive. And the recent reports, some are looking at correcting these factors, but still it's not applied clinically.